At 54, Phaedra Parks finally slammed the Married to Medicine cast in the most dramatic exit that fans could never have expected. Known for her southern charm and sharp wit, Phaedra always made an impact, whether it was on The Real Housewives of Atlanta or her brief but unforgettable stint on Married to Medicine. However, it was during her final season on Married to Medicine that she truly showed the world just how much she was willing to put up with, and how much she had been holding back for years. Phaedra's time on the show was filled with drama, confrontations, and tense moments, but none of it compared to the shocking twist that led to her sudden departure. The season, which had been filled with ups and downs, culminated in a fiery finale that left everyone stunned. It wasn't just one thing that caused Phaedra to walk away, but a series of events that slowly pushed her to her breaking point. The final straw? A messy situation involving her ex-husband, Apollo Nita, his fiancé, Sharian Copes, and a confrontation that left Phaedra feeling cornered and betrayed. The entire Married to Medicine cast had gathered for what was supposed to be a peaceful couple's getaway. However, what was intended to be a bonding experience for the cast turned into an all-out battle when Dr. Heavenly Kimes made a controversial decision. She invited Apollo, Phaedra's ex-husband, to the trip. Initially, Apollo assured everyone that Sharian wouldn't be coming, but that was far from the truth. Apollo showed up with Sharian by his side, and the atmosphere shifted instantly. What was meant to be a light-hearted vacation quickly turned into a tension-filled nightmare. The real drama began when Apollo and Sharian started questioning Phaedra about her decision to bring another man as her date. What should have been a minor issue escalated, with the couple pressing Phaedra in front of the entire cast. It wasn't just the public nature of the confrontation that got under her skin, but the fact that it felt like a full-blown ambush. Apollo and Sharian weren't just there to have a good time, they had come with a clear mission, to challenge Phaedra and make her feel uncomfortable. For Phaedra, this was more than just an awkward situation, it was a reminder of all the unresolved feelings and wounds from her past. Her ex-husband and his fiancé had cornered her in a public space, calling her out over a simple decision. It was a confrontation that dragged her into old, painful memories of betrayal and heartbreak. At that moment, Phaedra realized that she no longer wanted to be part of this drama, this show, or this group. It wasn't just about a couple's trip gone wrong, it was about protecting her peace and moving on from a past that no longer served her. When Phaedra walked away from Married to Medicine, the cast was left speechless. It wasn't just the suddenness of her exit, but the finality of it. She had been a part of the show for a while, and though her presence was often controversial, it was clear that her departure would leave a hole in the group. Yet, this wasn't just about one bad moment, it was about a woman taking control of her life, her narrative, and her future. In a way, it was a graceful exit, filled with strength, power, and a sense of peace. Phaedra knew exactly how to make an entrance, but she also knew how to leave the stage with an unforgettable impact. What many fans didn't realize at the time was that this wasn't the first time that Phaedra had been involved in a feud with Sharian. Their relationship had been complicated for years, rooted in betrayal and infidelity. Sharian's connection to Apollo went back much further than the Married to Medicine cameras had ever shown. For Phaedra, Sharian wasn't just the woman Apollo had chosen to move on with after their marriage ended. Sharian was the woman who allegedly had an affair with Apollo while Phaedra was pregnant with their youngest son. Imagine being in Phaedra's shoes, pregnant, vulnerable, and blindsided by the fact that your husband might be having an affair with another woman. It was a betrayal that Phaedra couldn't shake, and it had a lasting impact on how she saw Sharian, and how she was forced to navigate the drama that surrounded their lives. The public nature of the confrontation between Phaedra, Apollo, and Sharian was just the tip of the iceberg. In private, the tension between Phaedra and Sharian was even more palpable. Phaedra's feelings of betrayal were rooted in years of pain, and it was clear that she would never forgive Sharian for what she saw as a fundamental breach of trust. Even when Sharian tried to downplay the affair, Phaedra wasn't buying it. For her, there was no doubt that Sharian had been involved with Apollo during a time when she was at her most vulnerable. This complicated history between Phaedra and Sharian wasn't the only source of tension on the show. During her time on Married to Medicine, Phaedra also became outspoken about the dynamic between the original cast members, what she referred to as the OGs, and the newcomers. It's no secret that Married to Medicine has a tight-knit group of women, and when new people join the cast, they often face an uphill battle to fit in. Phaedra wasn't the first to speak out about the challenges that come with being the new girl in the group, and she certainly wouldn't be the last. In a candid interview, Phaedra didn't hold back. She called out the OGs for their mean girl mentality. According to Phaedra, the longtime cast members had a pattern of treating newcomers as outsiders, making it clear that they were not interested in embracing new women into their fold. It wasn't just a little bit of hazing. It was an ongoing issue that had left many new cast members feeling isolated and excluded. For Phaedra, it wasn't just about being a little rude or standoffish, it was about the way the OGs made it clear that they were unwilling to welcome anyone new into their circle. This wasn't just Phaedra's opinion. Other former cast members, like Audra Curry, had also spoken about how the OGs treated the newcomers. Audra had previously shared her experience of feeling like she was set up to fail. According to Audra, it was as if the OGs were waiting for the new girls to make a mistake so they could pounce. The dynamic had created a toxic environment, where the new women were constantly on edge, trying to prove themselves to a group of women who seemed determined to shut them out. Despite the challenges, Phaedra didn't let these dynamics stop her. She had dealt with plenty of drama in her career, especially from her time on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and she had the experience to navigate it. However, even Phaedra couldn't escape the cold shoulder from the OGs. She felt the chill, and in her unfiltered confessionals, she let everyone know how she truly felt about the cast. Phaedra didn't shy away from calling the OGs out for their exclusionary behavior, and her words were as blunt as they were shocking. But just when fans thought they had seen it all, Phaedra dropped another bombshell. During the reunion, the producers aired unaired footage from Phaedra's confessionals. What had been said in private was now exposed for everyone to see. In her unvarnished, unfiltered style, Phaedra didn't hold back. When asked what she had learned from her time with the ladies, she answered bluntly, "They're trash." No sugarcoating, no diplomatic language, just a raw, unapologetic response that sent shockwaves through the reunion stage. But Phaedra didn't stop there. She went on to describe the cast in even harsher terms, calling them demonic minions of hell. She painted them as bitter, insecure, and jealous women who lashed out at others because of their own self-hatred. In one of the most scathing takes ever seen on reality TV, Phaedra didn't just take shots at a few individuals, she tore the entire group apart, leaving no room for interpretation about how she felt. Her brutal words didn't just end with the cast, they also targeted their treatment of other women, especially black women. Phaedra accused the OGs of being mean to other women simply because of their looks, their weight, and their status. It was a devastating critique that challenged the very foundation of what the show was built on. Phaedra had no regrets, and she made it clear that she was at peace with her departure. She didn't need the validation of the cast, and she wasn't interested in forcing herself into a group that didn't want her. The aftermath of Phaedra's comments was immediate. As the reunion aired, the cast's reactions were priceless. Toya Bush Harris, who had been one of the women who welcomed Phaedra into the fold, was visibly hurt. She couldn't understand how Phaedra, after everything they had shared, could turn on them so viciously. For Toya, it was personal. She had made an effort to bring Phaedra into the group, and now she was being called trash on national television. Quad Webb, ever the one to speak her mind, didn't take kindly to Phaedra's remarks either. She demanded accountability, questioning who Phaedra was referring to when she called the group trash. Quad wasn't about to let Phaedra get away with dragging everyone without answering for her words. Dr. Simone Whitmore, known for her calm demeanor, also weighed in, frustrated that Phaedra had painted the group with such a broad stroke. Simone didn't mince words when she called out Phaedra's hypocrisy, pointing out that Phaedra had a messy history of her OWN. As the fallout from Phaedra's departure continued, it was clear that her words would leave a lasting impact on the Married to Medicine franchise. The question now is whether the OGs will ever be able to rebuild their fractured relationships with Phaedra, or if this is truly the end of the road. One thing is for sure, Phaedra left her mark on the show in a way that no one will soon forget. Whether you love her or hate her, there's no denying that Phaedra Parks knows how to leave an impression.